Hi everyone, welcome to the latest OAG podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by Gregg Brunson-Pitts from a company called Advanced Aviation Team. Now, this is slightly different from most podcasts because this is not about scheduled services, very much about aviation, and a particularly, what I think appeals to be or is a glamorous part of the industry. So Gregg, welcome. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, hi John. Thanks for having me.
So tell us about advanced aviation, because it's a fascinating area. You're into private jet charters and movements, I think, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. We are a private charter broker. We don't own or operate any aircraft, so we go to the market of available aircraft and link our customers up, our clients up with an available aircraft, an aircraft that suits their needs.
Sounds pretty simple. I'm sure it's not quite as easy as you make it seem.
That's right. Yeah, so it's not always simple. As you know, and the listeners know, nothing in aviation is simple. So things always get complicated in our line of work. Anything from mechanical issues to weather to scheduling problems to crewing, all of the things that can impact scheduled service also, for the most part, can impact general aviation and private aviation. So we deal with a lot of the same things that scheduled service deals with as well.
So how did you come up with this idea? Because I understand you're relatively new and it's quite a young business. How did this all come about?
So I stumbled into this industry. I cut my teeth in private aviation when I worked at the White House for President Bush. I was director of the White House Travel Office. And when the president travels, a lot of times there is a charter aircraft that travels with Air Force One in tandem that carries a group of reporters and Secret Service and staff. And so part of my job at the White House was chartering that aircraft that would travel with those people. And so I had that job at the White House for 4 years, all of President Bush's second term. I did all of President Bush's international trips, most of his domestic trips. And so I was in the client seat. So I worked a lot with a charter broker, traveled all around the world with the White House press corps, with President Bush, coordinating that group of people, the White House press corps. And then that job ended in 2009. The Obama White House actually asked me to stay for a couple months to help them transition the new travel office, because what we did really wasn't political. It was more logistics oriented, getting planes and moving people from point A to point B. So I stayed on for a few months and helped them get their feet wet a little bit. And then I went into the industry. I worked for a couple of different charter brokerage companies, just doing some business development and getting new clients and things. But I always sort of had an entrepreneurial spirit. I kind of had in the back of my mind that I would love to one day own my own company. I didn't know that it would be an air charter company. I had a couple other ideas that I was throwing around at the time. I was in the fitness industry, so I toyed around with owning my own fitness company. But a few years after leaving the White House, I started my own air charter company, and that was in 2015.
Wow! So sounds like you've been very successful. Things have been going well. How big is the team now? Because I guess someone's got to be on call 24/7, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. So we're a 24/7 operation. So if somebody calls us in the middle of the night, we are available. We do have charters going, sometimes in the middle of the night, or if we do have an international aircraft going, we are available all the time. Yesterday was a holiday here in the United States, and I was working, and that's just the nature of our business. We are available for our clients whenever they need us. And so we are a small team, though, and that just, that being available to our customers and our clients whenever they need us just comes with the territory. And so we are, we're a team of 6 people, we keep it small and close to our clients. So our customers know that if they call one of us, they contact one of us, it's going to be the same group of people. They know us, they know our names, they know our faces, and a lot of times they know our families, and we know them, and there's a personal relationship there, and I think people really like that and value that.
Sure. So, where do you locate a business like Advanced Aviation? Because you're in the US. I mean, is it geographically best to be in Chicago, sort of the Midwest, or on one of the coast? Where are you located?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I moved to Washington, D.C. in 2004 during President Bush's second campaign, and I never left.
Okay.
I fell in love, and that wasn't the plan, but I fell in love with this city, and a part of my business plan was to leverage my skills and contacts from that experience and sort of working at the White House. And so I keep the business here in Washington, D.C., and we do have a lot of clients in the political and government arenas here in D.C., and so that's why I keep the business here. We do have a lot of other clients though outside of the D.C. area. That is one benefit of being a charter broker is we don't own or operate a fleet of aircraft, so we don't have a fixed base anywhere. We can get a charter from anywhere for any size, anywhere in the world, really. So whatever the needs are, we can accommodate.
Right. I have this perception, probably wrongly, from watching lots of glamorous movies and all of those sort of programs where you see people hiring private jets, that it must be expensive because it always appears glamorous. And the aircraft always looks as though, it's brand new and has just come out of the factory. Is that the case, or is it a much more functional type sort of facility and service that you provide?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. We really match the aircraft type and what we're offering to what our clients want. There's an aircraft out there for each client and for each trip. If someone is really looking for something on the more bargain end for their price point, then we're going to match it to what the client needs are. But if someone's looking for a really luxury experience, then we're gonna do that for them. We're gonna offer that. So we can really do anything. We can tailor a charter experience to what somebody is looking for. If someone wants a turboprop King Air for a 1-hour flight out of DC to go to the beach, we can do that. If somebody wants a Gulfstream 650 to go to Europe, we can also do that. So we can really tailor the experience to what someone's looking for. So it doesn't have to be some luxurious champagne limousine experience. It can be something more budget friendly. We can do anything. The range, it ranges.
And the reasons for hire, I mean, another perception is that a lot of this is about businessmen who need to get from a particular meeting to another one very quickly and effectively, and they want an aircraft on standby. Is it classic business demand, or is as much of it about leisure and personal sort of privacy that people are looking for?
Sure. So there's a lot of different reasons why people would utilize a business aircraft, a private jet. So it is a business executive sometimes who wants to better utilize their time, right? So rather than spend time in a commercial airport going through the TSA, the traditional TSA experience, you can cut that down on a private charter. but families are using charters to get to their vacation destinations a lot quicker and a lot faster, and sort of in a bubble, especially now, with COVID. So that a lot of that's happening. Some things that we do at Advanced Aviation Team is we do road shows and tours and music groups and book tours. And so campaigns. So we do a lot of campaigns. And so groups can get from point A to point B faster and in a group a lot easier and quicker than they would on a commercial plane. It's just economics and logistics. And so we can provide that experience for them.
And let's get to some name dropping. Who are, without divulging any NDAs or agreements, who in terms of groups and authors are the sort of the stars of your portfolio, or have been the stars of your portfolio?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't get into who's who of our clients, but we've worked with high-level family offices, people who have written books. We do have some sports, some big-name sports stars, politicians and former politicians here in the U.S.
Do they ever give you a free ticket, Greg? Do you ever get a free ticket for a show or something?
I mean, it's public knowledge that we were the air charter provider for the Biden-Harris campaign in 2020. So that's I can talk openly about that. That campaign's over. So we worked for Joe Biden throughout his campaign and did a lot of their charters. So and that was a great experience.
And I mean, just from afar, the intensity of the campaign trail. I mean, those guys work really hard at the end. On the last day, you see the press following them around, and they're doing 5 or 6 addresses to the public in various states. I mean, that must be so pressurized. You've literally got to have the aircraft on standby, engines running, haven't you?
Yeah, the campaign is very intense. It was intense, and I think that's one of the reasons why a presidential campaign would want to work with Advanced Aviation Team, because of our depth of experience, because of my experience working at the White House in a similar intense environment. We have worked for other campaigns in the past. It's not a partisan thing. It has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah.
Our experience working in our industry, we were a good partner for them, and we had a great working relationship. So yes, it gets very intense down the home stretch. And we really like to say campaigns have a lot of things to worry about. There are many things that happen during presidential campaigns or other political campaigns, but you don't want to have to worry about your plane.
Yeah.
And so let us worry about your planes, and you worry about the other things.
So for many of you, one of the phenomena we've seen recently is that just in the consumer market, people are booking later and later because, they're unsure of their travel plans. They're unsure of COVID restrictions that might exist or will change. How does it work in your particular market? Do people book at short notice? Is it, I need a plane in 12 hours, or are there discrete groups that plan much further in advance?
It's a little bit of both. Some of our clients like to book in advance and know there's a certain peace of mind of knowing that the charter is confirmed and I have my price locked in, and Advanced Aviation Team is taking care of my logistics, and then I don't have to worry about anything. There are other people that just they kind of just wait till the last minute, and then we can go out to the market and then source whatever aircraft could be available. So it's a little bit of both.
Right. And how do you source that? Is there a database of people who've got aircraft available for leasing, or is it just a small community and a network that you've built up over time that gives you access to that?
Yeah. So an owner of an aircraft would hire a management company. And so they would put their aircraft under charter, in the U.S. we call it a 135 charter certificate. So they have to be certified by the Federal Aviation Administration, by the FAA. So if someone has a 135 charter certificate, then they would put their aircraft under management. And then we have relationships with management companies.
Right.
So then we go to the charter, you call it the charter universe, the available aircraft, and then we have relationships, and we kind of weed out some of the not so great ones. There are ones out there that have bad reputations and crews that we might not want to work with, or and so that's where we will put together some options for our clients to say, here are the aircraft and crews that we recommend. And so that's how that process works. There are some databases that we work with to sort of put together options.
Okay. So January of last year, the whole aviation industry ground to a halt.
Sure.
And then there was this sort of slow realization of, suddenly there seems to be more private jet movements, and people are chartering aircraft and doing their own sort of arrangements. I guess that must have put you in quite a nice position when the rest of the industry was struggling. You had the right product at the right time.
It really did. It was helpful. So to back up, yes, my customers really did stop traveling, just like everybody else. The initial shutdown and everything hurt. The business just came to a halt. But then you're right. I mean, the product that we were offering was in high demand, and so we were kind of in the right place at the right time. People really wanting to use a charter to go on a vacation or go to another home, or just people that didn't want to travel commercially or whatever were exploring their options. People who maybe had considered charter before, coming off the sidelines and maybe looking at a quote, or demand has definitely ticked up a bit over previous years for charters. And
much of that has presumably been domestic, because international travel has been fairly restrictive. But before that, how was your international development going? Was it were you seeing people looking to charter for services across the Atlantic or down into the Caribbean and Latin America, or was it is it really a domestic product?
We did a decent amount of international travel, and prior to 2020, and we had some international travel scheduled, but as you said, that a lot of that kind of got put on hold or canceled, and for right now, there's some movement. Caribbean stuff's coming back a little bit, but hopefully moving forward we can get that moving again. But not a lot happened in 2020 in terms of international travel.
I guess that must almost be the ultimate, mustn't it? A private jet hire taking you to the Caribbean and stepping off the aircraft in the Caribbean. Have you had the chance to do that yourself, or you've just arranged it for people?
Oh, me? No, I take United Airlines.
Well, they're as good as anyone else.
I get asked that question. People ask me that all the time. Like, you own a private jet charter company. Do you fly in private jets? And the answer is no. I fly commercial. My family and I.
Good for you. So this has been a bit of a game changer for you. Obviously, you've had a lot of more demand because of COVID. There's more people out there. Is that going to stick? Do you think this is a moment of change, and people will realise there is, more advantages of private jet movements than there are actually using a commercial service on occasions?
I think to a certain degree it's going to stick, and this is just my opinion. I think it will bring more people into the ecosystem of private charter, and people will like what they see. If they have a good experience with a company, people tend to be loyal to the brand and the experience that they have, which will be great. So they might come back for a trip, 2 or 3 times a year. However, the success of our industry tracks very closely to how well the economy is doing and how well the stock market is doing. And so we will see over the long term how how well the demand does. So then we'll check back on it.
Yeah, and I think that is fascinating, the linkage between not just private but commercial aviation and those econometric sort of measurements. It's quite interesting that there's obviously more disposable income when the economy is doing well, and more people want to travel to find new business. And talking of business, the perception I think around the world at the moment is the only people who are traveling are either visiting friends and family or trying to sink Florida by all traveling to Florida and taking a summer holiday. Do you get any sense that business demand is beginning to recover?
I think it is beginning to recover slowly, and I think there's an anticipation that in the fall it will be back even more than it has been before. So it's starting to slowly.
Right. Oh, well, that's good news for all of us, I think. And what about in terms of that business demand? Do they just look for one flight, or do they look for an aircraft for, say, a week, and they're going to do a whole series of road trips? Is it varies from customer to customer?
It typically varies from customer to customer, but I think typically a business would go on more than one. They would go on what we in the industry call a road show. So they would try to best utilize an aircraft and go on a stop, and then go on another stop and try to best economize an aircraft over a few day period.
And to that whole point, I mean that becomes increasingly cost effective versus a scheduled service where you could be kicking your heels with a Starbucks in a terminal for 2 hours waiting for a flight.
That's right. And with the charter, you can hit smaller airports too, so you can really utilize your time best. Sometimes a business would really need to get to a small town. So we can get them into a really small airport, where commercial, scheduled service, you might have to go to a large airport and then rent a car and then drive. So, there's a lot of use cases for a charter.
Yeah, and I guess given how many airports there are in the US, that gives you a considerable advantage sometimes on, those big conurbations where there's just one airport or something.
That's right.
Tell me about some of the fun things that have happened. I mean, you're in the middle of this relationship between someone who's leasing an aircraft from you or using you as an intermediary. There must be some fun stories. I mean, I saw one on your website about was a plane holding for a load of burgers to arrive or something.
Yeah, that's a fun story. There's a very famous hamburger place in the United States called In-N-Out Burger that one of our high-level clients. There's this perception that private jet catering must be like lobsters and steaks and champagne, but one of our high-end clients wanted In-N-Out burgers and fries and shakes, and so we arranged to make sure that they had hot hamburgers and French fries that were crispy and cold milkshakes. And so, so much of what we do is just making happen what our customers want. That might seem impossible to a lot of people, but if they request it and they want it, we just make it happen. That's really so much of what we do. And a lot of it also is just kind of anticipating what they might want or need.
Yeah.
And that's so much of what we do.
And has there been a case where you've anticipated and it's not quite worked out, or something slightly awry has happened that is in hindsight been quite amusing and you've all seen the funny side of?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes. Yeah, planes do, like I mentioned in the beginning, I mean, every once in a while a plane does break down or there's a mechanical issue. So that's happened before. and so we've had to replace a plane at the last minute. We've had to, we've had obviously weather delays, ATC delays. So, all of those issues happen. We obviously, we work very closely with crews, with pilots, with ground crews, we all try to really work as a team. Yes, all of the things that try to work together to make these trips go flawlessly, but sometimes they don't go flawlessly.
So I guess it is 24/7. So the worst possible thing is that phone call or the phone starts ringing at 3:00 in the morning, and it's like, oh, I wonder what's happened here, or how do you mitigate all of those sort of things?
Yeah, so if pre-planning is the biggest, being on the same page with our suppliers and our customers is the key, right? Because we really sit in the middle, and being a good customer service rep. So pre-planning and making sure that all parties are aware of what is going on and what the plan is, that is the key. If a plane breaks, though, that we really do pride ourselves on, even though we're a small team, that it's kind of all hands on deck, right? Yeah. So if we have a mechanical issue, we are on it, and all of us are on it, and we're going to try to fix the issue. So we're either going to see if it can get fixed, or we're going to fly a new plane in. That's kind of how we approach it.
And on the subject of planes, we all think that this is all about business jets and relatively small aircraft. I'd be intrigued. What's the largest aircraft that you've actually had to go out and contract with?
Yes, so we can do seven. We've done 777 before, 777. When I was at the White House, we would do 747s. So, any size aircraft for any group of people is possible. For the Biden campaign, we're chartering 737s. So we do airliners for group travel, pretty often. That's definitely part of our, part of our offering.
And do you see spikes in demand around those major sporting events? In the UK here, we all look at the Super Bowl, which always takes place in some sunny city in the US, over a damp weekend in the United Kingdom. Presumably, there's a lot of people who want to move around those big Super Bowl type events, the Masters, and other such things.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So those are, like Super Bowl weekend, Master. Like those are almost like sporting holidays here in the U.S.
Yeah.
But yes, we really do get, demand for those. For those are big, private jet movements, and so we do get some demand for those.
Great. So where do you go from here? Because you've done reasonably well through COVID-19. Hopefully the lockdown around the globe is beginning to ease. Is this about an opportunity for international growth, or there is still a lot more opportunity for advanced aviation in the US that you'll focus on the domestic market?
I think we'll mostly focus on the domestic market. There's a lot of consolidation happening in our industry, so here in the US and internationally, actually. So it will be very interesting to watch that and see how that plays out. There are different models and different ways to approach private charters, and so offering to the customers. So that is going to be interesting to watch over the next several years. So the way that we offer it to our customer is not the way that everyone offers it. There are memberships, there are jet cards, there's fractional, there's charter, which is what we do. So ad hoc charter. So it'll be interesting to see which one takes the lead and how consumers really want this product. I'm very eager to see how it plays out.
And one last question, and I'm intrigued by this. Did you ever get the opportunity to fly on Air Force One, or were you always on the aircraft behind, trailing Air Force One, or even still in the White House doing the next logistical meeting?
I did, yeah. So I flew with President Bush on Air Force One a bunch of times. Which was an amazing opportunity that I had, and so once in a lifetime opportunity.
And obviously not the same as a United commercial flight for a holiday.
No.
Wow. Gregg, it's been fascinating to talk to you. I mean, it is, I think, a very important but a much misunderstood sector. It's not just all about glamour. It has a huge amount of logistical and functional need that it meets for people around the world. I wish you well in what you're doing. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And if you ever need anyone for a bit of ballast to fill one of your private jet movements to an exotic destination, I'm happy to be it.
For sure, John. I'll make sure we send one your way.
Thank you very much.